Okay, so since Sunday alone, we've had Asante Samuel, defensive back, who's announced that he's going to go pro and declared for the 2021 NFL Draft. LaDamian Webb, freshman running back from Pinellas Park, has announced he's opting out of the rest of the season. Mike Norvell today during his press conference said that was for health-related reasons as far as members of his family. I can see by the smirk on James' face. He has a comment for that one. And then today alone, we had two players announce that they will be taking their talents to other schools in Andrew Baselli, the offensive lineman, son of former Jacksonville Jaguars star Tony Baselli, who made his name as a coronavirus positive case before the season even started. And then the name one would be Jaden Lars Woodby, the former 4-star, 5-star, depending on which outlet you want to go to, prospect from California who has announced he's graduating and he is going to grad transfer. So, James, since we just named 4 more players who will be not part of the Florida State show in 2021, which player do you think Florida State would be most affected by leaving, by transferring, opting out, whatnot? Obviously, Webb will be back next year, so it depends on the other 3 guys. Which one do you think Florida State could miss the most out of that group?
If Webb comes back. If Webb doesn't come back in January, Webb will be out of the most. Quite interesting, very interesting. Around the time that all media outlets announced Mike Norvell's press conference, something that Mike has done really consistently that baffles me, that makes me scratch my head, is Bobby Bowden had a way of saying things that left things open-ended. Mm-hmm. It's nothing definite if he did not know. Mike does this thing for reference in August. The reason why I remember it, I was on vacation. It's one of the few vacations I take. Mm. And I get a call from DJ Matthews' father asking, why is Mike saying that my son is in a punt return battle? My son has clearly got COVID, sick, and back at home, back in Jacksonville, and he told Mike he opted out. And I remember people telling me that, this is that. It did take a month later for Mike to say, oh, DJ Matthews just opted out. When Mike could have clearly just not said anything when not mentioned his name. So when it comes to the Damian Webb thing, I would have just said he's opted out for health reasons, like with his family, and we're here to support and be with him as much as possible. Mm-hmm. But you put that he's coming back in January, and then LaDamian Webb immediately puts on Twitter, the only person who knows what I'm doing is me. So it's you set yourself up for stuff. But if LaDamian Webb comes back in January, I think that'd be great because I believe he's the best running back in our backfield. Out of all the other guys, to be honest with you, we've talked about Woodby on this show before, and I think Woodby is the type of Seminole that I want my son to be off the field. Mm-hmm. He's a Myron Rolle type of guy. I probably don't necessarily want him to be like that on the field, but off the field, I want him to be like him. Baselli never really got off the ground, but Asante Samuel is a guy that if we could have got him to come back for another year, that would have been a true victory, a true win. That kid is just is a phenomenal player, plays with heart, and is what you like. You just really wish he had a little bit more size, but that was inevitable. The unfortunate part is there is going to be right now. I think we're at 18 or 20 opt-outs on the year, not including a lot of seniors that are gonna your normal senior attrition. And I think there may be about another 10 that might end up leaving when it's all said and done. So I don't care what you think of Mike Norvell, whether you think he's, spring affected him, COVID, a lot of these other things, but no leadership when it comes to business, football, or anything else can stand to lose. You guys are better with math when you look at 30 out of 85. But I would say you can't stand to lose over a quarter of 25% of anything. If you lose 25% of your ability to make income, you'll probably end up, you'll go into foreclosure, you'll lose some major things. If I lose 25% of my employees, my ability to be able to effectively run a company, it diminishes. No matter if I try to hire and bring in people to replace them, it takes time to train those people up. I can't replace that 25% of expertise. So you want attrition, and he needed to move guys out, but at the end of the day, I think he's still the coach. I mean, I still think he's still the coach. He is the coach. I think he's still possibly the guy. He's just going to have to look in the mirror and figure out what the hell did I do, or what could I have done better to maybe not scare off 30 people, because people can talk all they want about these 2 stars with heart, and these 3 stars are getting guys. I don't want a bunch of Rudy Rooters on Florida State. That's not how you win games. That is not how you come back. But that didn't answer your question. But
no. And Rudy made a lot of money in the movie theater. Rudy made a lot of money in the movie theater. So let's give Rudy some credit there on that one. I think Asante Samuel, for me, that didn't surprise me. He's going pro. He had a very good 2020 season. I think he improved his draft stock. Peyton Lars-Woodby, he's graduating, like you said, off the field. He's graduating with a degree in 3 years. He's a great guy. You can't really hate him. You can just wish him the best of luck. But you know what? Who didn't opt out? Logan Robinson, who decided to show up late here wearing a crappy jacket from Noel Game Day. Logan, are you going to pay attention to us this week, or are you going to watch your
Logan's
team?
got stuff to do, man.
I'm over here. I'm over. We have a lot of Steelers fans at our office, so I was watching a little bit of that. But now I'm able to leave and watch it with you, Jason. I get to watch the fourth quarter of a Steelers game with you, Jason.
I'm excited for this.
I am excited too. Got some fighting going on here. Love it.
Logan, quick question for you, and James kind of segued to it a little bit. Who else could possibly leave from this team right now? Who else? Who are we possibly looking at could also be leaving from the 2020 Seminoles?
I think there's numerous. I think there's a numerous amount. I mean, some even that have came a little bit too. I mean, Lars would be one. Is not a surprise. We've kind of talked about that. We've kind of noted on that in October, which isn't a complete shock with Woodby. I don't think it's a major hit to Florida State. Great guy. Great leader, I think, and is going to do a phenomenal wherever he goes, definitely off the field. But it's not a major hit there. But I think there is still a good amount of guys that are going to be leaving this program. And, James has talked about it's definitely a hit on, going into next year. Even if you're going to try to play 2 more games this year, it's going to be tough to have enough guys that you even throw out there. I mean, you're not even just doing a youth movement now. You are doing a who can play, what walk-ons can you put in there to play. In a week and a half, it's going to be tough to play a game, and better let 2 games.
I just want to point out what SEC Dog is too stupid to realize is that when you go to a school, you can't actually opt out of the school you actually went to. You didn't go to Georgia, so I get that. I understand that. You can't opt out when you get this piece of paper, this degree. You can't actually opt out of the school.
Yeah. No, now I want to talk. I was glad you brought that up, James, too, because I noticed that tweet, which Webb has done this before. He has tweeted things after Mike Norvell has had press conferences. So if we go back and look back whenever Florida State had their DeSantis press conference talking about COVID protocols and what they're doing, he was one of the players that tweeted just about 10 minutes later, kind of going against that they really believed in what Florida State's protocols were doing and blah, blah, blah. And so once again, Webb does tweet saying 10 minutes later after the press conference saying, I know what I plan on doing for myself, right. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So that's something Webb has done before. So I did note that too. I put that in our Discord. I was like, what's going on here? Because obviously we heard from Norvell 10 minutes before that he was indeed planning on returning. So if that's the case, if he does end up returning, you've got 8 and 9. I think Toa Philly has a very bright future. Just got to put some pounds on him. But and then Asante Samuel Jr. is Asante Samuel Jr. He did his job. He was focused. He wasn't worried about that program or admin, blah, blah. He just wants to get paid. And that's just what it does. There's just not a lot of guys like him right now. I don't think there's much of any. I mean, there is another one, but there's not a lot of guys like Asante Samuel Jr., which if you look back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, there used to be 10 of them, but now there's just one. So
name names, guys. For those of us who aren't in the Discord game day, name names, gentlemen. Who you got?
The list leaked out. The list was given out to everybody. That was on national media in a matter of 6 hours. Never doing that again. But the list is out there.
Don't give me the snitches get stitches. I don't care.
I mean, the reason why I wouldn't, and again, I I defended Nate with that was ballsy, but I understand why. I get it. Like, you stand by your word too. It's more of the former athlete in me than anything, because like, when, like, even when I played, like, we knew guys who were probably going to transfer at the end, and it gets uncomfortable. Like, especially where some of these guys are rumored to potentially be looking at, like, you don't want that getting out, and then like, because a couple people asked me, like, James, if you heard somebody from I was like, what would have happened in your era? We would have had probably very handsy conversations with some of these players. So I don't want any of that to happen, because transferring is still an emotional response. So, like, perfect example. I'll say this name. One name that was out and his locker was clear, so it's fine to say this one, would be Dante Lucas. It was like, people thought Dante Lucas was gone, but Coach Atkins and Coach Norvell got to Dante. They talked to him and they gave him another chance. So there are some other guys who were like, on the fence, but so you give them a chance and let them work it out the way that they feel it needs to be worked out, and maybe it'll go from there. Or some guys that you really wish the fan base might have been a little bit less pokey at, and you may have had something to do with it. You may not have had something to do with it, like, i.e., like, with no quarterbacks right now. It wouldn't hurt to have James Blackman be around. Like, you would rather James go in than take Rodemaker, or however you say his name. But, like, stuff happens, and that's just part of the game. Mike, this is Mike's issues, Mike's team, and he was gonna have to flip the roster anyway. It just means he's got to flip the roster a lot faster, and he's got an uphill battle, because recruiting is taking hits right now, and you got to, what fans are saying they want is to hit the transfer portal, which is you need to, but it's ironic that people want to build a culture with a bunch of guys that did not like the culture that they came away from. Like, that doesn't, like, it's cool to get like 2 or 3 of them, but like, you can't get like 25 transfers in. Like, that's just not conducive either.
Before we turn things back over to Mark, I just want to say, and I want to kind of ruin the joy that Mr. Robinson has from Tallahassee right now, with the Steelers holding a fourth quarter lead over the Ravens right now as we record this. Hey, Logan. So,
yeah. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Luke Altman, Mr. He's coming to Tallahassee. He's coming to Tallahassee. Would you care to defend your?
I told you 2 weeks ago to come after me. You never did. I said, "Where are you at? What's going on?" I told you the ship was sailing away.
He's coming. No. You were Mr. He's coming to Tallahassee. Don't worry about it. Everything's good. Everything's kosher. And
then guess what? The next week starts falling downhill. Starts falling down slowly.
So I know I'm going to get called the pessimist, the negative Nancy, the Ricky realist, whatever you want to here. Is it time to hit the panic button, Joe? I know that no. I think Logan is starting to lean towards the yes column. Mark is definitely in the yes column.
I thought the panic button was in the middle. I thought the panic button was in the middle of the season. I thought we were way past that.
Okay.
I thought for me, and not like panic, like what's panic? What is
yes,
that
exactly.
entail?
When you hit the panic button, what happens?
What does that entail?
A loud sensor goes off that says, "Willie, where are you? We miss you."
Oh no!
In all seriousness,
that's where the bat phone's directed. That's where the line goes. That's to Willie.
There's a Taggart train light that just goes through the sky right there. I think the panic train would be. Well, let's focus on the recruiting, just because James talked about that a little bit. We lost Bradley Jennings. Now we lost Luke Altmaier, losing a couple commits. Are you guys starting to get worried, or is it too early to worry for you guys?
I'm not entirely yet. Obviously, the Altmaier thing is a big hit. He's seen Ole Miss and seeing what they're doing there. It's pretty interesting. He's pretty bold if that's the case for Ole Miss, because Plumlee's has an arm, and they have a pretty strong offense, but they have no defense right now. But they can fix that if they need to. I believe in Lane Kiffin, but I mean, obviously, you look at a product right now, Florida State. There's barely any kind of throwing going on. I mean, Jordan Travis has been by far the best quarterback that we've seen this season. And behind that, you've got Chuba Purdy, who's been hurt. Tate Rodemaker is Tate Rodemaker. James Blackman is gone. So I feel like if he has a better chance of starting or playing very, very, very early on, it is Tallahassee and Florida State. But I think definitely that on the field product that he's seen is just atrocious. And, I can't blame him. I can't blame him that much. But if it is really indeed Ole Miss, it's kind of interesting to me. It could be Mississippi State too.
So if Jordan Travis is the quarterback standard and we've got about 75 schools in the Power 5, where would he rank? 50, 60?
Altmaier?
No, Jordan Travis.
As a quarterback in the Power 5.
As a thrower or just overall player?
As an overall quarterback. Everything that goes into playing quarterback, running, passing, leading.
I give him 40. I give him
40.
He's a top 40 quarterback?
Yeah. Okay. Like his what he can do with his legs is good. It's just the problem is you don't have a lot of other things that like if your defense could make a stop a couple times, like they probably would have more wins.
Which James makes him probably a top 8 to 10 quarterback in the ACC.
I'll give him.
You guys good with that?
He's not the worst quarterback in the ACC, but yeah, because what you got? King is better than him. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is better than all of them.
Howell.
Yeah, my bad. I was trying to think Howell. Head to head, I know Florida State fans don't like this, but I'm gonna take Jeff Sims over him.
Kenny Pickett's better, isn't he?
Wake Forest kid is pretty good.
Yeah. Pickett.
Ian Book.
Yeah. Ian. Oh, I
well,
forgot Notre Dame's in it, but yeah, Ian Book.
Well, in 2020,
there's a lot of quarterbacks that we would probably take over him, but I don't think he's as bad. But I also know that there's, as much as FSU fans want to really get on the last few offensive coordinators, I believe there's a reason why they didn't allow him to throw the football. I can see the reasons why. He's very good with his legs, but he's a running back that can throw the ball. But that still makes him better than what a lot of people. But as far as panic button with recruiting, I'm not panicked because if you go back and you listen to what I've said on this show, since I guess whenever I started back doing it, is he can't recruit. That's not what his strong suit was.
Hold on.
X's and O's is what his strong suit is. Or what's supposed to be.
James, I got to call timeout real quick. I got to respond to this person. Norvell's disciplining the boys and they don't like it. Plain soft man up. Really, Scott? That's your comment? We're a 2-6 ball club, and you're sitting there saying that Norvell's in the right disciplining the boys, and they don't like that.
Who's he disciplining?
I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's disciplining guys or not. Actually, I can like discipline to me is something that I interview Mickey Andrews. I like to interview Mickey and Bobby every year because I don't know how much longer we're gonna have either one of them. I talked to Mickey about this time where he made the defense run like 20 gassers after a 2-a-day practice. It was like offense. We scored 8. We scored on them 8 times on the goal line. And that's strictly goal line is strictly mano machismo stuff. And we just bullied them that day. And he said, hold up. I didn't make them do anything. They made themselves do it by not living up to the standard and the expectations that I made them do. Now, I'll tell you this. They didn't do that because they wanted to, but they did that out of respect. Discipline and receiving discipline is a matter of how you respect your coach. Now, this isn't coming from somebody who's a writer. I am not an excellent writer. All I can tell you is that I played the game. And if you can yell at me, you can curse at me, you can try to put your hands on me all you want. And some of you guys can attribute this to your own children. If all you doing is yelling and fussing, and your kids aren't changing their attitude or their behavior, then that tells you a reflection of you as a parent, but it also tells you that what you're saying is not working. Discipline is reflective on the field. So when I see wide receivers run routes and they're all in the same area and there is no separation, that's a lack of discipline. When I see defenders make this, can't do run fits, and I see fans say, oh, well, that's just because the player is dumb. No, you're either coaching it or allowing it. And because if they keep doing it, that means that there is a stark lack of discipline or respect. So, like, if you can't get guys to do the simple commands in which you offer, I'm not talking about complex football systems. I'm talking about snap the ball to the quarterback, step to when you're doing zone right, everybody steps to the right. When you're doing run fits, you see the gap, you fill the gap. When guys aren't doing that, that's simply a lack of discipline. Discipline isn't penalty, because if discipline was penalties, we're more penalized than we've been in the last 4 years. So that's another thing. So we can say all those things, but like at the end of the day, we don't know. I don't know what Norvell does with that. All we know is the product on the field. So, but going back to recruiting, it is like I'm not panicked because I know Norvell, much like our rival to the south of 75, is a guy that can talk to you once he gets you in the room, but he's not a winner like that. Like, not a winner, excuse me. He's not a guy that's going to like game you, like, because recruiting is really about. I hate to say because it's a weird thing, but it's like I want guys who dated multiple women to be recruiters for me. If that's all you got, that means you got something called game. You got to be able to go into a room and talk somebody to come move away from their family and why you're better than everybody else. We got 3 or 4 of those guys, but like the head coach, if Norvell's was executing like he was at Memphis, I think Luke would be an automatic slam dunk, as well as a few other people. But like right now, that's what they were banking on. Like a lot of it was, what do you sell? You don't have anything to sell right now.
By the way, breaking news: the Las Vegas Bowl has been canceled for 2020. Breaking news, just coming over.
Oh man!
If we would have went to that bowl,
tough.
Like, I'm flying there.
Hey, between that, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl getting canceled, the bowl season is just wasting away.
I'm taking that pretty hard.
Awful.
You know, I'll watch a Las Vegas Bowl. Sure.
I'll watch every bowl game.
I'll watch every bowl game too.
Absolutely.